And we're back for the second hour of this 7th episode of Hereticus. And as you can hear, Medea is quietly choking in the background. Or I think it was Medea at least.
It was.
Let us pop on over to the armory where Accolon and Sister Francesca went. And they find the armory in the same pristine condition they last found it in, because Quartermaster what's his face, Casor.
His face is ugly, is what it is.
Yes, Mr. Quasar.
Mr. Quasar is there doing his quartermaster thing. He is as they've come to learn, a very meticulous man who takes pride in keeping his armory orderly and in good condition.
He's a bit of a neat freak.
He is, as anyone who's been in the military will attest. That is a trait that is common among soldiers.
Yes.
And you enter, and he's doing his quartermaster stuff. He's placing some equipment on shelves, and as you enter, he turns around and looks at you and says, just the sister of battle I was hoping to see.
Very well. Here I am.
Yes, here you are indeed. I'm afraid that I have not yet received your flamer. However, I can say that it is en route to Scintilla.
Well, that is good. Thank you very much for that. I am pleased to hear it.
I obviously I can't say when it'll arrive, but it is at least I have confirmation that it is on its way here.
Yes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Out of character. Next time I go up a level, she's gonna need to requisition a heavy flamer, which means that by the time the old flamer arrives, it's gonna be or outdated anyway, and she's gonna need to say, well, she can use it until the big one arrives.
Okay. He looks at Accolon. And you, good man.
Yes, Quartermaster. Inquisitor has tasked us with investigating happenings within the city. We are expected to enter combat. I was wondering if it would be possible to requisition some armor.
That is an unnecessarily broad term. Could you narrow it down a bit?
A flak vest, perhaps?
A flak vest.
I imagine something in the general style of the guard.
Of the guard. I think, I should be able to find such a vest for you. When do you need it?
Well, as soon as possible, but within the next few days, I suppose.
I'll see what I can do.
You have my undying thanks, Quartermaster.
He nods.
Well, in that case, seeing as he doesn't yet actually have the flamer for her, she nods politely and heads off to the shooting range, where she proceeds, hopefully, to blow up a multitude of targets with miniature propelled rockets.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Because, bolters are fun.
Yes. Bolters are hilarious.
They also make a delightfully loud noise.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Does Francesca have some orcish ancestry somewhere in her distant past?
No, not really, seeing as they don't actually procreate.
I know they're spore-based creatures.
Yes, they're fungi.
Yeah. Yes, they are very much so. Well, if you have a loving of British football hooligans.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, so she does. She goes to the shooting range. What about Akalon?
Yes, he did say he wanted to do something involving exercise and either shooting or some kind of practice or drill yard would probably suit that need, even if it means just swinging his staff around in a vaguely melee manner.
Okay, cool. And Medea, does she leave the cell when Trina and the Inquisitor have left?
There's really no reason to stay there.
No, it's not a particularly exciting place.
No.
And there's no
She
food
does.
there.
No. Okay, and where does she go then?
I think she goes to look for the others.
Okay. Well, she'll probably find. Let's say she finds Tim first, then.
Yes, he is
Where is he?
probably doing some running.
Yes.
Huh?
He's running.
For
Can he
exercise, not
can
away
he
from
yell
something.
into his microphone so I can hear other than squeak squeak peep peep?
Could you hear me, Heine?
Yes, I heard you.
So it's not on my end then.
well, you were very low, but you're clearer now.
Alright, he's running, as in for exercise, not away from something.
Oh,
Why
he'll do
you
that
keep
soon enough.
running? I don't want to be near you, Medea. Oh.
Oh.
You're smelly!
Ooh, you got cooties.
No.
Well, that's okay. I don't want to be near Tim either because he's got boy germs.
That is every bad stereotype about the Sisters of Battle wrapped up into one horrifying. Just no, burn it right now.
Kill it with fire. Oh, my flamer hasn't arrived yet.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so Medea finds Tim in the physical exercise area, basically running track.
Alright. He seems like he's busy.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Okay. So so Sister Francesca and Akalon are both found in the shooting range. If I'm not mistaken, at least Sister Francesca was.
If I'm not mistaken, I can hear that all over the area.
Well, I think the shooting range might be soundproofed.
Yeah, it would be.
Just a guess,
Right.
because when somebody goes in there and, God forbid, doesn't use a bolter but a heavy bolter, you would be deafening everyone.
Yes.
Which incidentally reminds me, one day I need to get my hand on one of those.
I was about to say, but this is the 41st millennium where everybody's eardrums are made of adamantium and don't need to wear any kind of ear protection when firing anything like that. So,
Yeah. True. True.
yes. So,
Well, if they don't use any protection while they fire them and train with them, there's a good chance that they won't hear the screams once they start shooting people with them.
True. Also, always wear protection, kids.
yes.
Yep.
Let's just say, for the sake of ease of role-playing socialization, that Akalon is actually with Francesca in the same area.
Sure.
So Medea, as pretty much as you enter the shooting range, you have to sidestep to not stand in the doorway alongside the quartermaster, who's also heading in there. And there's this awkward moment where you each, oh no, you first, and then the quartermaster goes in first and heads straight for Sister Francesca.
Oh, that was
Alright.
quick.
And then also, of course, Medea then enters, I assume.
Yep.
And the quartermaster has a wide smile on his face, and as he reaches Sister Francesca, and he says, "So, it would appear that I was wrong. I've just received a missive from the spaceport on Hyptasis.
Oh,
And your flamer has arrived here on Scintilla.
Oh, fantastic! Thank you very much.
That is, it gets better.
Yes.
Your fellow sisters have brought you some more equipment.
Oh.
Apparently with strict instructions that you are not to use it yet. And I'm going to assume that you know better than I what that means.
Absolutely, I'm aware of the restrictions.
Excellent. I'm told or informed via the missive that the gear in total fills an entire container. So there's
okay. At that point, I think Francesca just stops and blinks.
So there's bound to be a lot of toys in there for you.
Well, clearly, I guess they must have felt that it was better to be prepared in advance.
Yes. Needless to say, I have no idea what kind of message the astropaths sent when you first requested the item, but
the ways of the astropath is mysterious indeed.
Indeed. So expect your new weapon to arrive within a few hours.
I'm most grateful. Thank you very much, Quartermaster.
He turns on his heel as
Yes.
as a trained soldier and walks out, leaving the three of you alone in the shooting range.
Francesca sits down for a moment. She needs to reload anyway. It's like, okay then. Sister Superior clearly anticipated I was going to need some serious firepower.
Yes. Aklon, for his part, is looking over as he feels the great shift in the meta plot.
You feel a disturbance in the meta plot.
Yes, a bit of cajoling of the GM apparently works wonders, ladies and gentlemen, for future reference. But yes, he's...
I think, to be perfectly honest with you, I think Jaime realized maybe that, keeping track of all my different requisitions over time might be a little problematic.
Ding, ding, ding,
Fair
ding,
enough.
ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay.
GM went, oh, screw this shit. She'll get everything now, and
Yeah.
I can get it.
And she can just, when she's ready to use it and she's allowed.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen of the viewing audience, this is a service announcement, my first one, if I remember correctly. Sometimes it pays to plan your character out well in advance.
Yes.
But either way, Akalon is happy that Francesco's happy. He shrugs with a smile and goes back to lazzing targets on his part of the range.
It should be mentioned that you both notice. Well, I'm not sure if Sister Francesca notices or she's lost in flamer thoughts.
She's lost in fiery thoughts right now.
Okay.
Imagining all the orcs she can purge with her new toys. Yes.
Purge the heretic.
But at least Akalon notices that Medea is present.
It should be said, by the way, just as an afterthought, if you would, that for all her I would say for all her kindness, or at least comparatively so, for a Sister of Battle, although as we've seen, she does have a hard edge when it comes to such things as heresy. She also does have a slight pyromaniac streak, just little.
I knew there was a reason they all dye their hair red.
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, at least
All the times when they accidentally set it on fire while burning stuff.
Yes.
But there are also sisters whose hair is completely white or completely black. It's just a different order. But yes, ours, yes. Burn, heretic. Burn.
Akalon, seeing Medea, sort of waves, but doesn't like a cheerful hello wave, more like a sort of I acknowledge your being here. Medea, you seem well, considering you were led off to an uncertain fate.
Yeah.
Francesca looks up at that point. Oh, yes. You are indeed in one piece, it appears.
Why wouldn't I be?
Well, because you were taken out of the room, and we didn't see where to. Obviously. So you might have been taken for some other kind of test or investigation, and I'm not familiar with how such things work.
Mint is about to say something, and then she shrugs. Well, I have no idea how it worked either, but apparently it did.
Well, that's good. Glad to hear it. Okay, you two. What do we do now? What do we do now? I mean, there's clearly more to be done in that district. We cannot. This is not over. Because of this. Because let's face it, if this kind of corruption reaches as high as a bishop, Emperor only knows how many people in that district have been affected by this thing as well. But we have to assume the worst. If that is the cathedral that services that entire quadrant of the of Middle Hive, then for all we know, every single Imperial citizen in that quadrant has been listening to heretical preaching. And we also have to assume that the Adeptus Arbites, I'm sorry to say, are a contingent of stuck-up bureaucratic idiots who are going to get in our way.
True.
And mind you, I have the greatest respect for the Arbites, but that collection down there, not so much.
All the more reason for able-bodied and vigilant servants of the Emperor to act in their negligence.
Well, indeed. And we have been told that we are meant to investigate what goes on down there, and we have in fact not been told that we are done investigating it.
True. So, do you suppose we are capable of acting in this manner of our own volition, or do we wait for specific orders?
We will... Well, we will wait until my shipment arrives, because in a place like that, a flamer would be of immense use, quite simply because Middle Hive is incredibly crowded and narrow streets and back alleys and so on, which I can fill with burning promethium is, well, let's just say it would make certain things a lot easier if we should get into trouble. And when that has happened, yes, we should go back down there, but we also need to think about exactly how we find more information. Because just like we did last time, you and I stick out. We can't, even if you were to try to pass yourself off as just any other civilian Imperial citizen, it wouldn't really work.
How so?
Well, psychers, for one thing, tend to make people a little uneasy.
True, but I would argue that anyone with a badge of inquisitorial authority tends to make anyone a little nervous.
Yes, but the point is that then you wouldn't be passing yourself off as any other ordinary civilian.
Very true. A shame.
well, if you have ideas, I'm perfectly willing to hear them. But my point is that if we want to gather some information down there and hopefully try to finagle out of some of the locals where they gather to listen to horrible heretical preachings and such like, such information would have to come from basically from Tim and from Medea. We might want to get you, Medea, some new clothes that look a little more Middle Hive-ish, because otherwise, if you look like an Underhiver in the Middle Hive, they won't think you're a local.
No, they'll only think you're a yokel instead.
Oh, ha 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 ha! Very funny. Actually, that was actually kind of good. No, we will need to get you some clothes that sort of fit the surroundings, and then what we did last time was not a bad idea. I still think that is a good way of doing it. You and I being visible, Achelon, because the fact that we are in fact visible is likely to make these people nervous and talk to one another.
Yes. I wonder, sister, might there be opportunities for, even with us being so overt, to come across texts or even musings, people talking that could be written down in some fashion that might aid us?
Do you mean in the library? Or there in person?
In either case, I have some training from my days on Piety of Seth in the copyist trade. I might be able to take down notes. I might even be able to, with some skill, forge documents if needs be.
That could become quite useful, obviously. Yes, if we can find any written material while we're there, that would then obviously be of considerable help. I don't see why not. I think we should certainly look into that. I have some knowledge myself. She says I've been reading up on the on this in the library here, and I have a working knowledge of the basic principles of, well, quite frankly, how heretics function, what their methods typically are, how they set up their deplorable groups of evildoers and so on. That might also be of use to us. But I do need something to go on, and yes, written texts might actually be. That would be good if we can find something like that. Well, obviously, if we can actually find and bring one back for interrogation, that would be even better.
Indeed. Well, we have the makings of a plan at the very least, and we have some idea of how we may all fit into it.
Yes.
Meantime, I think following this I shall make myself useful by studying what I feel I can in the library, and indeed practicing my writing once again.
Yes. That might be a good idea. We shall we should probably get a hold of we should get a hold of Tim and inform him of that this is the plan going forward. I also think, personally, I don't know this for a fact, so obviously I cannot make any promises or anything of the sort, but I believe that we have now been tested after having been in direct contact with this foul object. and that while they may test us again in the future, for the same reason, I think this was basically this was to set a benchmark to ascertain that we are in fact capable of handling this kind of assignment. And Heine, I have Forbidden Lore Ordo Hereticus. Would this be consistent with that?
I I admit I was a bit distracted here in the last minute or so.
Sure.
What would go under Forbidden Lore Ordo Hereticus?
The what we have just been subjected to, the hypnochemical treatment thing.
Yes.
Whether this is something that we should expect and anticipate to be subjected to each and every time we come home from something where we have had any brush up whatsoever with the forces of the warp, or if it is a thing where they will say, now we have tested that you are capable of withstanding this sort of thing, and unless we have a good reason to test you again, we won't.
The latter. This was your second exposure to the warp. The first being on Sofano Luna.
Yeah.
But it's not customary for acolytes to be tested after every mission.
No, that's the thing.
Only when there is cause for worry.
Yes.
You're tested once, and if you pass that, you're considered to
safe.
You're considered safe to work your acolyte duties.
Yes. And of course, if then something specific happens, then you might be subjected to it again.
Yes.
But it has to be for whatever specific reason that they have to feel suspicious or something.
Absolutely. Any subsequent treatment is always on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah. All right. Good.
Yes. That's not to say that some Inquisitors out there won't do it every time.
There are some monodominant assholes out there
Yep.
who will do this because they think it is fun.
Yes.
Like Trina if she were the Inquisitor. Let's do it again!
Yes. Trina has a glorious future ahead of her as asshole in chief of the monodominant order in the Calixtus sector.
Medea couldn't help, being a prick. Oh, you had to live with me. Didn't get to see the last. Oh, poor you. And Trina, I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, I'm sure you don't.
So, I think the plan right now is, at least for Francesca's in Francesca's case, to wait for her weapon shipment to arrive, and when that arrives, she will take a longing look at all the goodies, pick up the flamer, which she is entitled to and allowed to use.
Yeah.
And then she will
whisper sweet nothings to the rest. Don't worry, my dear.
I will come back for you in time. and then she is gonna go and practice with that for a little while, because she's not planning on going back to the Middle Hive probably for another day, maybe even for a few more days. It shouldn't be too long, because they shouldn't be allowed to basically arrange hiding, but at the same time they're gonna have an eye on every single finger, and in the case of certain mutants that may literally be the case. If we go down there right now, right after that event in the cathedral, just give them maybe 48 hours at the most, 36 hours perhaps, to sort of start relaxing again before we go back.
Sure.
Okay. Also, since Medea was with us while we were making these plans, does she have any thoughts or any input to what we've been... So...
It didn't seem like you needed any input, so she just, didn't speak.
Okay. Just checking.
Okay. So Akalon's plan is to do some writing. What is it that he writes?
Specifically, it's to practice his ability to, trade copyist, as I understand it, as a skill allows you to a degree, forge the appearance of other documents that are observed, unless I'm mistaken. Yes. So what he does is he specifically practices writing out excerpts from the saints and imperial prayers and trying to make sure that it looks, the writing on the page he is writing looks almost identical. Well, it does look identical as much as he can to the writing that's in the actual holy texts.
Okay, cool. And what about Medea then? What does she spend her time doing?
Well, Francesca just goes back to being a noisy, glowy lady with her bolter. She will walk over to Agalon and poke his shoulder.
Yes.
What does ignorant mean?
I think there is a one-word answer to that. That.
Forgive Akalon does his best, and probably fails because of the nature of the question, to not sound sort of condescending when he says this to Medea. He says, "Do you know what knowledge is?"
Stuff you know.
Ignorance is the opposite. It's stuff that you don't know.
Uh-huh.
Why, has someone called you that?
Everyone we've met. She turns around and walks and starts shooting stuff. She looks kind of angry.
Akalon...
Something about next time, Trina. Watch your back.
Yes. Akalon sort of... He was prepared to go on as Medea walks away. He kind of opens and shuts his mouth, a bit dazed looking, and then just sort of rolls his eyes and does a few more shots with the lad's pistol and then packs up to head off to the library.
Okay. Meanwhile, Tim is running track, getting his pulse up and basically getting in shape. That's always good for an inquisitorial acolyte to do.
Yes.
So I asked you via whisper to roll me a toughness test.
You did.
And the reason why I did that is basically that after Tim has been running for, let's say, half an hour or so.
Yeah. I imagine he's kind of gotten into the mindset of just running, not really stopping.
Yeah. Until his body physically orders him to stop or something like that.
Probably to the point where he's very tired, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, after this half hour, Tim notices an odd smell in the air.
Okay.
What does Tim do about that?
Well, I suppose he's quite good at moving and looking around at the same time, so I suppose that's what he does.
Okay.
Trying to figure out what is that? Where's it coming from?
Sure.
Is it a smell he's familiar with?
Nope, it's not a smell he's familiar with. It smells a bit like not that it is this, but it smells like rotten eggs.
So someone's farting.
That's not what it is. But it is a similar smell.
Okay, well he definitely looks around.
Okay, then I'll need a second toughness test. This time you don't have to roll in private.
Yeesh.
Jesus wept.
Not good.
Okay, so Tim he continues to move while looking around for any source of anything that might be the source of this smell, until the stench and whatever it is overpowers him, and Tim loses consciousness.
Oof.
That doesn't sound nice.
No, it really doesn't.
So I hope it's not, suddenly a loss of consciousness. Hopefully he does get to, slow down slightly and not just plop over.
Well, well that depends really. So when Tim initially notices the smell, does he slow down then, or does he continue to run at the pace he had been running so far?
I don't think he slows down initially, no.
Okay, well then he doesn't get to slow down before he loses consciousness.
It's just immediately bloop.
I think the last thing that Tim sees before all goes dark is the door to the track opening and Trina walking in.
Hey!
And Tim notices that she's wearing something on her head. It's covering her face.
Why am I not?
Bitch.
Why am I not surprised?
And
She drugged me.
He is a goddamn.
Yeah. I'm not
Ow.
usually very good with chemicals, but I do know that something that smells like rotten eggs is hydrogen sulfide. Also stuff that knocks people out.
so Tim wakes up sometime thereafter. He's not quite sure how much time has passed, but he does wake up lying on the floor of the track, and
What, you just left me there?
no, she's standing over him, looking down. It's clear to Tim now. Well, he does. It takes 20 seconds or thereabout for him to be able to focus and get his senses back. And that's when he sees her standing over him, and she's wearing a rebreather, or as we know it, a gas mask.
This is an odd sort of practical joke.
She takes off or rather she looks at something, a device in her hand, and apparently satisfied with what she sees, she takes off the rebreather and looks down at Tim. You didn't handle that very well, did you?
What didn't I handle?
The drill?
Well, I handled what I had set out to do pretty well, but it looks like someone decided to add an extra element.
Yeah. So next time you smell something odd in the air, cover your nose and mouth.
I'll make sure to keep that in mind next time I see you.
Nice one. Good comeback.
The part still weird. Cover nose and mouth when
Of
near.
course, next time, anytime we see her, you can see bullshit in the air. So.
Yeah, it's full of it.
There's
That's just full of rotten eggs.
There's a silence between you for a few seconds. Then she reaches down a hand for you to take.
Well, I was about to say he gets up, so might as well get the help.
Okay, cool. Well, you can
That's
absolutely.
probably a bad idea, but
Yeah, well, you can absolutely get up yourself before she extends the hand, but that's entirely up to you.
She might do it as I'm getting up, and
Yeah,
I'll
okay,
definitely
cool.
accept the hand.
Cool. And then she looks at Tim and says, "Well, I hope it wasn't too painful, but we do have to keep you on your feet, so to say, ready.
I'll do it next time.
You don't know what the enemy of the Imperium might throw your way."
He nods, and as I said, he says, "I'll do better next time."
Good. Now, if you don't mind, could you fetch your fellow acolytes and have them meet the Inquisitor and me in the conference room?
Of course.
Excellent. And then she leaves.
Tim considers if he should shower first, but decides that, well, no, because she told him otherwise, and the Inquisitor is involved, so he goes to get the others.
What next?
And what did you say, Aya?
Better go there smelling like rotten eggs.
Speaking of which, Tim no longer smells the awful smell.
That is nice, but she did leave, so.
Yeah, now that Medea knows what ignorant means, she's not happy.
So Tim goes to find the others, I imagine.
Yes.
Cool. Well, he finds them wherever they are and informs them that they are to meet with the Inquisitor and Trina in the conference room.
Yes, he does.
Cool. So, I take it then that you do all arrive at the in the conference room.
Of course.
Of course, Acolon, Francesca, Tim, and then there's Medea with her little black cloud.
And there's, Acolon, Tim, Medea's black cloud, Francesca, and the smell of rotten eggs.
No, it doesn't enter before Trina comes in.
Well, she's already in the room, so
Okay,
it's real stinky.
yeah.
She's been there for a while.
And yeah, she's in there. The Inquisitor is in there, and now you all are in there. So the Inquisitor motions for you to take seats, and then she says, "So, I am happy to inform you all that I have cleared you for active duty. You are not tainted by the warp. This pleases me immensely, and I do not plan, unless there is anything specific arises in the course of your duties that forces me to do so. I do not plan to subject you to further treatments of this sort. You have passed the tests, so to say, and you are free. You are no longer confined to these quarters. Trina has informed me she does so on a regular basis, almost real time. She has informed me that of your activities. She has informed me of what happened in the Cathedral of the Winged Martyr. And she has also informed me that there was an incident with the Adeptus Arbites. That's all well and good. You did well in the Cathedral, and you did well dealing with the Adeptus Arbites as well. There are, as I'm sure Trina has already mentioned, there are certain political machinations in place here on Scintilla that bother me to no end. But the fact is that they are there. But I'm not really here to talk about politics. Instead, let's talk heresy. What is your plan going forward? I imagine you do have a plan.
We at least have the beginnings of a plan.
Let me hear it.
And Francesca looks over at Tim. We talked about this while you were training, so we haven't really had a chance to talk to you about this, hence why. And she looks back to the Inquisitor and to Trina and says, if Tim looks slightly confused at times, I don't know, then it's simply because he wasn't there when we talked about this.
I was otherwise occupied, he says, and looks at Trina.
Trina doesn't. She has her poker face on.
He can't help she's a knockout.
So.
Oh my god, that's so good. Sigh. Well, no. Anyway, Francesca looks, of course, looks at the Inquisitor and says, "We, well, the obvious concern here is that if this kind of massively heretical behavior has infested someone as high-ranking as a bishop and at least one member of his clergy in a place like the Cathedral of the Winged Martyr, and wicked and horrible things have happened there for at least long enough for them to gather the pile of human flesh that fell to the floor. They have had time to spread insidious and heretical preachings to pretty much everyone in that quadrant of the hive, and that has to be investigated and stamped out, if indeed this is the case. The number of street preachers in that quadrant was also very, very high. That was obviously what originally led us to investigate this, because the teachings that they preached pretty consistently skirted the line of outright heresy. Quite a lot of it was counter-doctrinal, and consequently, if this is happening, well, within a stone throw of the gates to the cathedral, then something is seriously wrong. And the plan is to go back to that quadrant and try to learn more. We so far have been talking about utilizing much the same method as we did the first time around, because it was actually starting to yield some results, namely that Achelon and myself will be visible to the population there. Him being a psyker would be unnerving for any civilian anyway, and I couldn't pass as a civilian if I tried. So we would be the visible presence that might unnerve these people. Hopefully will unnerve them, and certainly will be reason for them to, well, quite frankly, having a Sister of Battle presence in the streets is bad news for any heretic. And then Tim and Medea, who can pass for civilians, will be gathering information on from people, basically listening to people talking, sniffing out what information they can. Obviously, if we had any contacts in that district, that would be a great help, but none of us do.
Good. That sounds like it sounds like you've given it a lot of thoughts, and I like the direction you're taking with this. It does bear further investigation. I agree. This kind of heresy cannot stand. Even if it has died with the bishop, then even if that is the case, then we need to know so.
Medea looks like she has something to say to that, but she doesn't open her mouth. He's just like, yeah.
The Inquisitor notices, unless she actively hides it, then the Inquisitor notices.
No, she doesn't.
The Inquisitor notices, and
she was about to say something, then realized this is the Inquisitor, and I need my head.
Fair. She just nods at Medea. She doesn't say anything, but she indicates that Medea can speak.
Well, from what I heard before the whole shenanigans started, this is way bigger than just one bishop.
How so?
I was talking with the people around and listening to them murmuring, and they talked about a lot of lost palaces, forgotten gods, and towers of bone, and when I tried to seem like an interested party, they kind of shut up, and then everything happened in the cathedral. But it seemed bigger, like there were more who knew.
You heard this among the common folk.
Yeah.
Therein lies the problem.
Some of them seemed like they knew where everything were, but they weren't keen on sharing. And they were all very nervous, at least those talking about it, about the Sister of Battle offing a heretic.
Yes, I heard about the execution.
But at least it made it easier to find who were the nervous parties to listen to.
Yes, and it was just it. As at least as I've heard the tale, then Sister Francesca did what she had to do, and she it was just, and
Well, I harbor no kind of feelings for the man who was an idiot.
he was certainly
The
a heretic.
Yep. And the thing to remember, I think, is Francesca says and looks over towards Medea, because Medea is in fact completely correct. There were clearly mutterings, both, as I understood it, both she and Timotheus heard of these murmurings and whispers right before the catastrophe at the cathedral that took place. So my personal take on this is that there are certain parties who are, let's say, there are certain people who would probably go back down there with an army of heavily armed men and women, all armed with, I don't know, heavy flamers and similar weapons, and lay waste to the entire district. But that won't teach us what is behind this, and we can't guarantee. I mean, if a single heretic escapes from that district, they can spread their filth elsewhere later on. We have to know more.
I agree.
I have a certain sway with the underworld and the workers. Seems they kind of is at ease around me.
That's excellent. It's definitely a useful thing right now.
So I might get more out of them if we try again.
That would be a great thing. After all that, Francesca thinks for a moment. Let me just try to remember. That district was dominated by manufactorums, right? There
Yes.
were they basically this was a factory district.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
the section the church is in is primarily residential, but it's all factory workers. It's hab blocks dedicated to the factory or manufactorum workers.
Manufactorums, yes.
Yes.
And of course, and she looks back to the Inquisitor. I believe I mentioned this to my fellow acolytes when we were down there, that let us just, for the sake of argument, assume here that these Cretans managed to infiltrate and get into the good graces of some of the factory workers, and that those factory workers are working in, let's say, a munitions factory, creating charge packs for las rifles for the Imperial Guard. Suddenly you have 50,000 guardsmen on the front somewhere firing blanks. This is potentially disastrous, and it has to be stopped.
Yes, I agree. While we don't produce charge packs for less weapons. You are correct. It is, regardless, it is potentially very damaging to the Imperium's efforts. There's no
Yes.
question about it.
Well,
And it simply cannot stand in on the very planet that houses the
the Tricon,
the Tricon. Heresy cannot stand. So
of course. Well, in fact, heresy cannot stand anywhere.
true, Sister
we-
Francesca.
But that said, as she says, we were talking that if we go down there right now, they are all going to be hiding under whatever rocks they've scuttled back under because of what happened at the cathedral. If we give them too long, they're going to start evacuating, or they're going to start they're going to go back and try to plant their insidious horrors in the ears of even more good citizens of the God Emperor. But we were talking about giving it maybe 36 hours, because then they should start to feel, oh, well, they're not there right now.
Well, I'll leave the details to you. And with you, she indicates all of you.
Yes,
I'm pleased with what I've heard. It seems like you've got a handle on your mission, and yeah, I'll leave the details and the hashing out of the plan to you and to Trina. I have, unfortunately, business elsewhere in the Tricorn, so I'll have to leave you for now. But you have, if not complete autonomy, then at least the freedom to handle your mission as you see fit. And as for the Adeptus Arbites, you don't need to worry about them. The business I'm to attend shortly is with the commander.
We should probably still endeavor to not step needlessly on their toes.
Certainly, but that is always the case. The Adeptus Arbites is a powerful organization, and rightly so. They enforce the Lex Imperialis. But my point is, you are Inquisitors, or you're not Inquisitors. You are agents of the Inquisition, and you need to be able to act as such.
My thanks. Yes.
She stands up and nods to you all, and then she leaves the conference room, leaving you along with the much hated Trina.
Yes. Well, I wouldn't say much hated, but certainly thoroughly disliked.
Fair.
Medea's eyes is, even though she can't write, they are giving her the message of, I do not like you.
And
I know what you did last summer, look.
fair. And with that, we'll take our second break, and we will be right back.